Hello, hello, hello.
And welcome to the Hildebrand Law Firm topic for today.
I'm Kirsten Hildebrand.
And I'm Matt Kaplan.
And today we're going to talk about that topic that we always wonder about. And that is, what is this 5-year look back period that we talk about when we are referring to Medicaid? So, Medicaid, Matt.
Yes.
What do you think it is?
To the rescue. That 5-year look back period, what do I think it is? I know what it is. The 5-year look back period is the amount of time that Medicaid looks into your life, into your soul, to see what did you give away within the last 5 years. Because if you gave anything away in the last 5 years that we didn't like, that we don't let you do, then we're going to penalize you.
So in other words, you don't qualify for Medicaid benefits unless the last 5 years is clean.
Correct.
Well, is there any way that I can hide any information?
You can certainly try. However, Medicaid must have employed a bunch of teenage girls to go through and scour through all of your social media and all of your bank accounts and everything. Because you had a teenage girl recently.
Yes.
They find everything.
They do find everything.
Yep, Medicaid finds absolutely everything that you've ever done.
And Medicaid also has the benefit of having your Social Security number. And so not only are they able to go onto like social media, but they're literally able to look at what you have registered, every single account in your entire lifetime, every single element that you have ever owned, whether it be a bank account, house, anything that has been titled to your name, and they pull all of that and they look at it for the last 5 years. So if you don't know about something, even they will find it. So
let me give you an example. I had a client who lived on giant acreage. He said that his acreage was so large that there were parts that he's never even been to.
Wow.
And he just didn't even know about and all of that. And he lived on there for a very long time. When it came time to apply for Medicaid, Medicaid's like, yeah, what about this ATV? He's like, what ATV? They're like, yeah, you have an ATV. There was a junk ATV in his yard that sat there for 20-something years. It was probably worth like nothing at the time, but it's technically another vehicle. You're only allowed to have one. And so Medicaid's like,
right.
Yeah, are you going to sell this ATV or what? Like, you have over the limit. And he was absolutely floored. So the idea with Medicaid, though, and one of my favorite phrases is pigs get nurtured, hogs get slaughtered. The best thing you could ever do for Medicaid is that be as open and honest as possible, because then they'll work with you.
Well, and how about being open and honest with the attorney who is creating and developing the Medicaid application for you? Because there's nothing more consternating than putting together a Medicaid application, submitting it, and then getting the question, well, what about that whole life policy?
Right.
And that has happened multiple times. Sometimes, probably the vast majority of the time, it is not deliberate. It is, I completely forgot that my father bought that for me in 1924. And it's still around, and it's come through several iterations of the life insurance company, and I totally forgot about it. But that is something that Medicaid will pick up. So our experience is nothing can be hidden. Now, what about if I just decide to give away a little cash here, a little cash there, like just sort of under the table? What if I'm giving away cash? Is that something that they would be able to track?
It depends. It depends. So Medicaid wants to see if you're gifting a certain amount. It also depends on the amount. If it's like $100 every Christmas to your kids, probably not an issue. If it's $1,000 a month to one of your kids who's grown, probably an issue. It depends on a lot of different things. And so really at its core, what Medicaid is trying to do, and we try to make Medicaid out to be the boogeyman, but really what they're trying to do is that if you're applying for Medicaid benefits, what you're saying is, I am not paying for this nursing home care. I would like you to pick up the tab. And so Medicaid's requirement is, okay, if you want us to pick up the tab, you have to be under a certain dollar amount, and you could not have given money away that was not okay within the last 5 years, because if you gave that money away, that money could have gone towards your care. And really, they're just looking for, the term is uncompensated transfer, which is giving money away. Because if you gave $200,000 away, but you gained a house worth $200,000, that's a compensated transfer.
That's not an issue.
You bought a house.
Right.
And so
right.
they're looking for, did you give away $50,000 to get under the $2,000 threshold to apply for Medicaid? That's really what they're looking for.
In our experience too, 50,000, obviously that's a lot of money and they would absolutely flag that. But even if there is a pattern of a few $100s, say even on a quarterly basis, they will add all of that up if it looks like a cash withdrawal or if it's a check written out for certain numbers that look like, oh, they're going to family members. They'll consolidate all of that together, and all of a sudden a little bit here and a little bit there, if consolidated. And yes, they do look at the bank account statements and they do check to see about the cash withdrawals. And unless you've got receipts to prove that these cash withdrawals were for something relative to your lifestyle, like say, I always go to the grocery store and pay cash, you have to prove that up with receipts. If you do not prove that up with receipts, it will be considered a divestment, and all of that will be counted towards the penalty period.
Right. Yes, exactly. That's a really good point. But another thing that we can do as the people doing your application for you, and we have a lot of experience explaining what some of these withdrawals are.
Yes.
And so Kirsten made a great point with a pattern of gifting. Let's say you give $1,000 each year to all of your grandchildren, just maybe 1,000 in total. Keep it easy. You have 10 grandchildren. You give $100 each every Christmas. To Medicaid, they're going to see $1,000 each December coming out of your account. All we have to do is we're going to write them a letter. Hey, my client's been giving to them for the last 10 years. They're not giving money away to try to qualify for Medicaid. They're giving money to their grandchildren, which has been a present every year for the last 10 whatever years. And so there's always ways that we can explain it, but really what they're looking for is did you give money away just to try to qualify?
And also, I would say this though, best practice, if you are thinking that sometime in the next 5 years, you may need to put in a Medicaid application, you might want to stop giving those gifts because it just becomes a point of discussion. And the value of the Medicaid gifting the Medicaid payment is so high because these places cost anywhere from, on the very, very low end, $8,000 to $13,000 to $15,000 per month. That is a huge benefit that you have been paying your tax dollars for, but fundamentally, you don't want to mess that up by having little giftings here and there now be used to disqualify you because they still have the authority. So if they say, look, that's all fine and dandy that you've been giving out $1,000 every year for the last 25 years. First of all, we need to see the proof of that. And most people will not have the proof of that. And if you don't have the proof of that, then they're going to say, well, sorry, we're going to consider that to be a divestment. They have the right to do that. And now you're in litigation. Now you're in a situation where you have to decide, am I really going to go to court to try to, contest this? Or am I going to just live with the fact that I've got to go through a penalty period? So if you want it to be the most simple, then you're going to do the less, difficult route in terms of that gifting.
Yeah, and I got a really interesting point to make about the penalty period. We'll do the penalty period in our next video. I think I really want to talk about how penalties are actually calculated and how we can actually use penalty periods to our advantage as well.
Good.
But yeah, for this video, a 5-year look back period, just know that when you apply, let's say I apply January 1st, 2025 for Medicaid, they are going to look back all the way to January 1st, 2020. And they're going to see what divestments did Matt make over the course of the last 5 years, what did Matt give away, and then whatever he gave away, we're going to use that to try to calculate a penalty. So like a common theme for all of our videos, planning, planning, planning. I want to leave you with one final note and one final word of advice: if you do plan to give money away, kind of like what Kirsten was talking about, if you give it into the trust and then give it away from the trust, that initial giving to the trust is one divestment. Then that 5-year clock starts. So let's say you apply for let's say you give all your money into your trust today. 6 years from now, you apply for Medicaid. Even if you've been giving him money out of the trust every single year, doesn't matter. The only divestment that matters is that one divestment you made into your trust. After it's in the trust, who cares where it goes?
But I think you need a lawyer to help you walk through
Yes.
that. So, Medicaid Matt knows. Thanks so much for joining us, and we are here for your today and your tomorrow, and we will see you next time.